Beautiful. Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the MentorFX private mentorship. This is webinar 160. Let's cover a few important things today. Let's cover a few psychological things as always, and then we'll go from there. So as always, before I get started, I want to welcome aboard anybody that's brand new, okay? So I saw a few new faces, which is amazing because there has never been a better time, which I feel like I say every single week, but there has never been a better time for someone to be somewhat new to this area. Yeah, the phone loves to fall. Now, whether you're new, if you're new, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So being an older member is always beneficial because the things that you take in are received in a much different light. I'm sure that a lot of you have started to work through some of the stuff released in the portal. It's only the start of what's going to be released. That's only a tiny bit that I've been able to release so far, but I want to make sure there was no bugs, there was no issues, people were able to access it properly, start working through it properly, make sure everything works, which it does seem like it is, which is an amazing thing, because that means I can start releasing a lot of the other stuff and make that available to a lot of you very quickly, which means, of course, that a lot of the new members that might have just joined today or joined this week or are somewhat new and have felt that this area is not as structured or organized as they may have wanted it to be, right? This is a perfect time because now you have a real structure, a real approach to everything that I do from kind of the very beginning in regards to what I'm doing right now, which is very powerful. And the fact that you've shown up to this or rewatching this at some point, because hopefully if you're new, you've learned very quickly through the welcome videos that these webinars themselves are extremely important. They are looking glasses into what we're doing live. They are looking glasses into what I'm trading, what I've been doing, what I've been watching, why I've been watching it, what's going on through my brain, what are other people watching, where does my brain fall when someone asks me about a certain pair or about a certain market on a given time frame, right? What happens? How am I using firsthand the exact material that you're studying now in my everyday trading, in my everyday process, in my everyday of showing up? That's what these kind of act as. And at the same time, as you work through and have questions and want to share your own milestones, your own successes, your own good trades, your bad trades, everything in between, you are now able to do that here. And we're able to talk together. And what tends to happen is we get to go down paths of psychology, of improvement, of technical analysis, of psychology plus technical analysis when we hold these, because, well, we have a lot of people that ask a lot of very, very key stuff, right? So as always, questions, guys, are always welcome. So feel free to ask as you see, as you please. One of the biggest goals today for me is to kind of go over some of the trades that I took this week, as well as some of the psychological things that I've offered to a lot of you guys in the actual chats this week, because I think there could be some important stuff to take out of it, and that should go with the technicals as well. So without further ado, I think we get right into it. Actually, before we do, I hope, of course, that you guys are enjoying the brand new members portal, right? For anyone that doesn't know, because you should know, but if you don't, at this point, we've worked the material to go directly to the members portal. At least the material that is important to you as a complete starter, or even someone that's coming from 5 years, 3 years of experience with other areas. We've reworked everything to start at a certain place. So you can actually start working through it and start to kind of view the market fundamentally in the way that it actually moves. Because what I've noticed, sorry, I'm cleaning off my mouse here, really weird. What I've noticed with the space is that you don't ever really learn how markets function or how markets move or what makes moves in the markets. Instead, a lot of the time, and I've been here too, and a lot of you have been here too, we are taught to remember a pattern that seems to happen a lot, and it does actually happen a lot, and then we're forced to interpret and utilize that pattern on anything that we look at any point. And what happens a lot of the time is when we're taught to find a pattern and look for that pattern, well, funny enough, we can find the pattern every single day on anything to both sides of the market. And the biggest problem with that is if we're trading every available pattern on both sides of the market, of any market, any day, well, we have no edge. because at the end of it, we're trading randomly, right? And random trades breed random results. That's really where that comes from. So instead, one of the biggest focuses for myself, as a mentor especially, and especially seeing what has actually worked for the people that I've mentored, that I've seen firsthand, and still, to this day, trade full-time, make insane amounts of money, whatever you want to call it, right? The thing that I've seen worked is a rewiring of how you view trend, of how you think about trends starting, of how you think about trends delivering, and how you think about the potential of a move to occur. And when you start to understand, even at a very small level, that trends in motion remain in motion, or like, you know, a trend wants to keep going, it very unlikely wants to just pull back and pull back and pull back. Even at a small change like that, you kind of change your entire view of how to approach trading, which is why my biggest goal right now, and you guys might have seen this in the hashtag welcome video, because that's kind of where I wanted to start it. And just a very, very welcome. It's only 10 minutes. But my biggest goal, even to someone that's brand new or to someone that's been stuck for a while, is to kind of promise you that over your time here, and you know, a lot of our existing members could probably speak on this, over your time here, you will have a permanent shift in the way that you approach and view markets, which is my main goal, right? And also my main goal is that in the scenario that you choose to do this for a living, and you choose to do this for the long run, and you actually lock yourself in to become quote unquote a trader and try to do this full time. What I also wanted to do is I wanted to give you a moment that will exist as a moment you'll look back on and say, yeah, this was that moment where everything began to click, because that's my main goal, right? I've noticed that a lot of people in any skill set, including trading, go through a consistent cycle of almost thinking that they're going to get there, but switching and switching and switching the way within which they try to get there. So they almost get used to not getting there or not learning. And as a result, they stay stuck in that area forever. And this happens with not our main job. So if some of you are like, let's say, engineers for a living, if any of you started playing or said, I want to play an instrument, you might learn from this place and this place and this place. You might start learning 4 to 5 different songs at the same time. And all of a sudden, you kind of just switch off to maybe another instrument or another song, and you stay in a mental trap loop for the rest of your time until you make a conscious choice to learn how to do it. Or until a pianist, a guy that is a professional piano player, walks into your house straight up, right? Knocks on your door. You open your door, you're like, what the fuck? And he goes, you sit down right now. I'm going to teach you how to play the piano. And until he basically holds your hand through the piano playing, you never get on a path to it, right? So one of the main goals right now with reworking everything we're doing is that anyone that's serious about what they want to do, about doing this, they'll have a place through which they can look back and say, this is that, you know, this is the pianist, the piano man showing up to my house. This is him kind of holding my hand and giving me that perspective shift, as well as the action needed to complete and start to actually do the skill permanently, right? Where it's not like I'm going to be stuck and stuck and stuck. It's going to be, oh, this is how markets operate. This is what I should start looking for. These are tools that can help me look for that. And now it's a question of getting better and better and better. So now there's not a flat line trajectory where everything is just sprawling into different directions. Right? There's now a linear to exponential trajectory where the things you're learning are built upon themselves over and over and over again. The webinars you show up to and the things we go over are teachings upon those same teachings over and over and over again, right? And the goal is that you actually find profitability, because the reality is I don't care for you to stay on the team paying me if it's because you just need more and more education. I mean, I hope that you want to stay because you love the quality of the team and the quality of the work. But the goal is to have you stay here because you're profitable, staying here is cheap now, and using the tools makes you more money than you ever would have made having just done it on your own. That's the main goal, right? So if you can allow yourself to see that kind of from even my point of view, and treat your education and treat learning the skill as something that is going to take place if you let it, then you're going to grow extremely fast with our team. Okay, so that's kind of my little rant for the day. Now, I'll jump into some of the stuff from the team, okay? So 160, that's right. And I will go over some traits today as well, and go over whatever I said I was going to go over. You're a little late. You're not late. I was a little bit late myself. Alex says the brand new are lucky. They'll have a member portal from the start. Yep. But remember, everything you've done always adds up to where you are now. Always. So a lot of the people that have been here a while that now get the members portal will receive that information a lot differently and likely at a higher level than someone that might be completely brand new. That's not saying that it's guaranteed, but that's likely the case. I'm sure a lot of you guys that have been here for a bit that are now receiving the members portal stuff are seeing the same remnants of the same stuff we've taught for years. There's nothing new. However, the way in which we approach it can have huge psychological shifts in the way that you think about markets now, right? And that's kind of the goal. Please, Matt, can you show the indicator line a little darker when you make the webinar for us because it's hard to see? So my main personal goal of making it much lighter is that I don't want to focus on it too much, right? Because like I can see them. If I'm stuck in a big range, I'm aware of that. I don't really need it in front of me, right? Because my main goal is to look at the underlying actual movement of price, right? In regards to the MAs and in regards to, as you now know, MB validations, right? And looking for those MB based moves. Because the reality is good markets, so for Mohammed here, good markets, right? So again, using the EVC blueprint, this is the blueprint we use for timeframes, which you'll learn in the portal as well once I add it to that as well. Right, for me at the moment, it's an entry on the 65-minute or a 60-minute. Okay, we'll make it simple. If I multiply that by 6, you get to about 300 minutes. So, you know, the rule of validation is to multiply by 6 from the entry, and you get 300 minutes, which is 5 hours, which in a stock world is about a day. So to make it easier on myself, I use a day. Okay, that's all I do. And then you multiply this by 10. So you multiply the validation by 10 to get a context. Okay, so this is how you approach any time frame. If you're a 6-minute trader, you would do 6 minute times 6 times 10. If you're a 1-minute trader, you would do 1 minute times 6, so probably around a 6-minute or a 10-minute, right, times 10, an hour or so. Okay, so you can apply this to any time frame whatsoever, just remember that. And this puts you about 10 days, which for me is basically a week, so I just use a week. Okay, so for my system, Mohammed, right, on average, what I've noticed is my best trades, right, if you notice even this trade, it always comes from the same kind of context, right? If I look at the weekly here, I'm going to show you this right now. If you notice this trade and where it takes place, you know, what do you notice about this? Before I even look at any zones, before I look at any ranges or anything along those lines, what do you specifically notice about the weekly, which is my context time frame, in regards to price? Right, exactly, yeah. It's in a very clear stage 2 trend, right? It's above basically all the MAs and surfing higher, and it's bullish. So the reality is when this is happening, before I even make the indicator darker, let's just make it darker for a second. If I made the indicator darker, does the indicator itself here indicate or help you in any way for the underlying context of price? The answer is really no. The only thing that it's doing at a fundamental level is it's calculating the fact that, hey, we're in an accumulation or we're in a confirmed reaccumulation. And that's phenomenal. And that's something I already see, right? So the reality is, am I near the top of a range or near the top of a delivery or near the top of a stage 2? If the answer is yes, there's really not more for me to do, right? So that is why you'll see in this scenario here specifically that I don't even need the actual ranges themselves because, hey, price is proving to do one thing. Okay, so this is one of the trades I've taken. Let's look at some of the other trades I've taken. So Reddit, this is a trade I did not take. I missed it. But again, when I look at this, where is price in regards to where the entry would have been, right? Now, again, you can see I did not take this, but again, it meets somewhat of the same things, right? The range didn't matter here that much. The reality is it started coming out of a potential stage 1 here. It's in a stage 2. It's in a stage 1 after coming out of a stage 2. And the likelihood is that, hey, it's above the MAs and I want to see it deliver. Here's NVIDIA, okay? Something that I have traded over here. So if you guys remember, I traded a very nice trade on this here. What do you notice about that point? I also missed a lot of trades. The trades I would have taken would have been throughout all of this time right there and probably even inside of here, right? What you'll notice about all those moments, again, well, one, Alex said it perfectly, is that it's the same condition being met every time. There's the same kind of philosophy for trend or delivering market before I'm looking at it. And funny enough, at any one of these points, if you notice and you really want to focus on the actual ranges, right? At this point, at these points, no matter how you cut it, no matter how you look at it, right? What did I do here? What did I do? Okay, I broke it. It's fine. I'll make it a little bit darker. It's fine. But what you'll notice about any one of these ranges, right, as we look at this, is that the reality is the range itself doesn't matter on the context timeframes at least, right? Give me assist so I can mute one guy spamming emojis. Oh. Yeah, okay. All right. You can mute and ban anyone just going crazy. So yeah, in these scenarios here, what you'll notice about the context time frame for me is that every single time that I'm taking an entry, it's almost always with an already delivering stage 2, out of a delivering stage 2, near the top of a stage 2, over the MAs, and it's just delivering and delivering and delivering, right? In the scenario, let's assume that I'm, for instance, trading, let's say, a lower base time frame. So if I'm trading a 1 minute entry, what should my EVC be? If this is my EVC, 1 minute, what should my V on average be? So probably around 6 minutes, right? Or you could use like a 10 minute or a 15 minute. Let's just use all of them. Or that. And what would my context time frame be? Using these 3 numbers right here, right? It would be 60 minute, 100 minute, right? Or 150 minute, because again, we're just multiplying by 10. So all of these are theoretically a valid way to approach the underlying market right here. Okay, so these are all valid ways to approach the time frames. Now, if I'm trading something like UJ, which if we jump into here, so as we all know, UJ, some red now, but UJ has overall been showing extreme green for a very long time, right? We traded this kind of for a while now. But what I did is I simply looked at a 1 minute here as my entry. No, not my entry. Sorry, the context time frame would be like a 60 minute, right? A 1 hour, as we all said. On a 1 hour, right? When I look at this, all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to place a few lines. So Alt V. Okay, cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place a few lines. Okay, I'm just going to place a few lines as I go through this. Okay. And then if we labeled them, at which points do you think I would want to start jumping lower to, let's say, a validation time frame to start watching for entries on a lower time frame? This is a context in regards to the stuff that I've kind of just looked at. Now, it might take you a little bit, but kind of go through it, because there could be even a few answers, right? So John says most of them. I disagree, right? So 1, I'd probably throw out instantly. I would never have gone lower here, because so this is where it gets interesting, because context becomes a very important thing, right? Because, if you're looking at 1 and you're going lower inside of this area here, that means that on average, you're trading the lower in here, 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 and over and over and over again. And guess what? You're very likely going to be caught in chop. Okay, so 1, for instance, is something that I would not consider, right? Because again, all we're doing is we're comparing the entries that I've just shown, given my context, to the context of something that you might have been trading on a lower time frame, on a different pair in this case, which has been a big focus of the portal, right? Where the main focus is to show you that all time frames and markets are the same. So I'm going to probably ignore this one. Okay, now 2 is definitely, if we take a look at it, right, coming out of some kind of stage 1 and in a stage 2. So 2 is one that I would consider, right? That's perfectly fine. I would go to a lower time frame to look and check if there's something clear. 3 is something that I would consider, right? Because in this scenario here, it's like, it's still holding its stage 1s and 2s, because remember, guys, what we forget when we look at time frames, because so even though I teach you guys not to think in time frames, you still find a way to get attached to them. Because what happens is when you look at this, you say, it's too far. It's too far. There's no way. But what you're forgetting is that on a 1 minute, this candle on its own can easily be equivalent to a break even or even anywhere from a 2 to 3 RR winner. Okay, this is what we tend to forget. Okay, if I go back very quickly to something like NVIDIA or maybe something else, maybe I can make it even easier on myself. Let me just think about this really quick. So let me find a really good example of what I'm trying to get across here. Okay, phenomenal. So this right here looks exactly like the hourly we just saw on UJ. Because if you notice, it's kind of theoretically extended, right? But already, this is one of the trades I took this week, I'll work through why in a second. This is one of the trades I took this week, and already I'm at break even on it. And already, it's delivered about 1.6 RR, and it has the chance to make more. Now, on a higher time frame, let's assume the weekly, this would be my context time frame, assume the next week looks like this. There's a candle, okay? There's a wick, and then it comes down and it just chops, and this is the end of the week, and then, you know, like everything ends. So let's say the next candle is this. In the case that happens, do you think I've made money, or I could have made money on this trade right here? That's a 4.4 RR or 5 RR gainer during that week, right? But then after, what is this gonna look like? It's gonna look like if I asked you, should I be trading in this area here? What would a lot of people that just answered the question say? If I said, hey, should I trade this area here? A lot of people, funny enough, would say that I shouldn't trade it. But people are forgetting that when we look at a context time frame, the point of a context time frame is to separate you far enough from an entry time frame that even if a move like this occurs, you are already making money or taking a break even on your trade. So the funny thing is when we look at that hourly on the UJ, the same thing is true. We're forgetting, because we're getting used to time frames, we're forgetting that we're not supposed to think in time frames. And instead of thinking of the fact that this alone is an easy potential 1 minute 4 RR gainer or a break even, we're thinking it's only an hourly time frame. It'll come down in an hour. Look, the movie instantly rolls over. There's no opportunity there. And when you start thinking that way, you start more and more forcing yourself to always go more left. You're like, maybe I'll watch here. No, I'll watch here. And all of a sudden, you find yourself on a context time frame doing what? Trading sideways and shitty action. And all of a sudden, what happens? Your entry time frame and your validation time frame begin to line up, sure, because they can and always will, and you start taking more chop outs. Chop up and down, back and forth, okay? So you need to teach yourself and learn to allow the context time frame to look like as if, holy shit, there's no way I should follow this. Okay, I'm gonna add another line because this one looks fine too. Like right around this point here. So again, like if I drew this line in, does everyone see why this area here, as a contextual time frame being the hourly, would be a perfectly fine area to start stepping down and watching price during that given week, or during that given hour, or those given hours? Because what you're forgetting is that in the scenario that a lot of you are trading, let's say a 1 minute entry, again, forget kind of the time frame, but if you're trading an entry time frame that's a 1 minute, making your hourly the context, this on its own is what? Just that, without it going higher, without it even going higher, what is this? This is a winning trade or a break even or a funded account. Yeah, exactly. And guess what this is? That's your delivery of a stage 2, of a big stage 2. And just to kind of prove this in regards to the entries that I personally take, because I want to make sure that you really, really understand this. I'm going to do, so I drew that over here. Let me make it green so I know which one it is. Let's go to the actual minute just for a second. And I'll look at my own entry and tell you like if there's something that I could have taken in this scenario here. Wow, okay, there's a lot of action here. I mean, now you're starting to see that like with just the stuff that I drew, there's so much action here. Let me go to a 6 minute and find this area. How do I move this thing out of my way? Oh, there we go. I don't know where to put it. It's in my way though. I don't like that. Okay, I'll move it there for now. That's fine. Right, so if I go to a 6 minute and quickly just find this area right here and replay to it, okay? Just so we can see it, right? During a 6 minute on the validation, you can see we start that stage 2, we go into somewhat of a clear stage 1, and we can anticipate now the start of a stage 2. Okay, and then on the 1 minute, we should start seeing a structural story of price delivery. And all of a sudden, as we get down here, you do have that structural story of price delivery. And from those, you're going to have MBs, right? You're going to have multitude of MBs. You're going to have multitude of MBs, getting validated, creating potential moves, all of which set up potential moves higher, and all of which then lead to either break evens or larger potential wins. Because again, you cannot get attached to the actual time frame. You need to get attached to the underlying way to view timeframes, okay? So let me zoom back out of this, and let's keep going using our new understanding, okay? So in that case, I would say all of these are valid for areas to step down to a lower time frame to start watching, because again, just because it's valid on a higher time frame, does that mean your validation time frame and entry time frame are going to be set up for an entry or a good entry based on what you look for? No, it's not, right? Just because it might be valid doesn't mean that here it would set up. It might not even set up at all. That's okay, but you need to allow yourself on a context time frame to begin the step down. So is 4, here we go, is 4 an area we'd consider? Based on where it is now, in reference to where I showed you guys my weekly, which would be my context, because I want to teach you from my frame of mind, right? Would it be valid to look inside of here on a validation to entry time frame? Yeah, it's meeting the rules. It's in clear stage 2, in accumulation, moving higher at the top of a potential range and moving higher. And then guess what? This becomes your payoff for the week. Is number 5 a valid area to step down and start looking for potential moves? Yes, it is. And what do you think this is? Again, this is potential break-evens or wins. Wins, because these could easily be partials, right? We forget that because, it doesn't look like it at the time, but if you step down inside of it and you really allow yourself to see what's going on there, right? All of a sudden, the story changes drastically because on the 1 minute, there's an MB, all of these. Okay, some of them maybe break even, but if you really think about what's happening there, this is a 7RR. If we make it even a little bit bigger to be fair, this is a 5RR runner before anything, right? This is in that area that instantly rolled over, instantly. So please, look at this and think to yourself, if it doesn't instantly make one candle and then roll over, what does that create an opportunity for on a lower entry time frame using a contextual, clear market that's delivering? Well, it creates the opportunity for this. And if the next candle's up, all of a sudden, you have a runner, you have a trend, and everyone looks at you and goes, where are these moves coming from? That is so crazy. Did any of you think that when I went inside of this hourly that we'd see 3 opportunities for an entry? All of which would have been semi-okay or deliver? Okay, some people are saying yes because they've been here a while, but I would hope that some people were like, there's no way. And now, again, there's a perspective shift in trend, in thinking about trend. Because all of a sudden you start realizing that you don't need to be there for the little areas down here trying to, because, okay, how many of you now, again, another yes or no question, would have, on a context time frame, went lower inside of here on a minute and went, are my entries ready? What's going on in the 1 minute? What's going on in the 6 minute? I want to know. Come on, let me check. How many of you would have done that here? A lot of people. Maybe not you guys. You guys are all professionals now. All right, I get it. Everyone here is a professional, okay? But my point is, when you have an EVC, you have an EVC because these are far enough separated that just one candle of this delivers this. And a continuation is disgusting how good it is, right? So what happens if you started watching price at this point here of the context time frame right here? What's going to happen to you this week as you get entered through a validation and an entry? Yep. That's where you get that funded. That's where you get funded off of one trade. That's where something takes off and you catch the entire move. That's how that happens, because in this case, price did not start making a move and roll over. It just started moving and moving and moving. It started to validate demand and deliver as per the portal, as per the course portal that we've now released to all of you. Okay, just from what's available right now. Maybe I haven't let that out yet. We're gonna let that out very soon, don't you worry. It's gonna be phenomenal. You guys are gonna learn a shit ton. But this is like your biggest indication that your focus should not be this. Let the other traders focus on this. There are so many traders in the world every day that show up and are like ready to trade this for no reason. Wait, let the stage 2 start, right? This is your red, 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 red. Maybe you start considering it after that. Literally like this. This is how your brain should operate in terms of context-based time frame, where maybe even you consider, here, let me do this. Maybe here, again, same thing. And then as it crosses higher, as it breaks higher out of this area, out of this stage 1, you start watching inside of here. So like this is where I would start watching on my validation and entry time frame. And then I would watch it all the way through, all the way through. I would watch it all the way through still, to this point, still. And then here I would stop, same thing, okay? So same thing, as it breaks down, this is where I stop. And then as this reaches through a new MB, I expect this move. So that's where I start watching again, right? And then it fails, so you stop watching, and again, you wait for a move. So you wait, and wait, and wait. You could even wait one more, but here, again, same way that we used to think about the free money zone or the delivery, right? Potential stage 2. This is where you start to expect those lower timeframes to start setting up potential moves. And if they do, then you get entries, and if they don't, then you don't. And all of a sudden, what is this all alone on a 1-minute entry for someone that just started a 100K account or 200K account or just is starting smaller? This is a funded account. Done. All because you chose to follow a market that has proven itself multiple times, and then you've created a proper blueprint for following the EVC, time frame based entry, and you go for it. That's it. That's all we're doing. I hope you're all seeing this, okay? So that is why I kind of did this little test with you guys, because, right, the point is to show you that a lot of you, when I zoomed out and asked you what numbers would you trade, a lot of you gave me a few answers, but some of you only gave me one, and that's crazy to me. And some of you even gave me areas within areas, which were not good, right? Some of you would have said this is a fine area to follow. Or, even better, if I made a YouTube video, okay, if I went on YouTube, most YouTubers are looking for a way to get this moment. They want to start trading right here, because that's what makes the move, right? This is where they're interested in price. I would never, for the life of me, ever consider looking for anything here, because it doesn't prove anything to me. This is where you get random results, okay? Coupled by random trades, because you're trading everything. Because when you trade here, where else are you trading? You're trading here. And if you're trading here and here, you're also trading where? Here. And if you're trading here and here and here, where else are you trading? Here. And if you're trading there and there, where else are you trading? Here. And here. And here. And here. And all of a sudden, what happens to you on a lower time frame when you're looking for entries? There's infinite entries, but you take infinite losses, and you're infinitely confused. And then maybe you get one move, and you're like, where did I get that move from? I wonder. What? I figured it out, but I lost so much in between. What happened when you could have just waited for a stage 2, for a delivery, for a contextual-based delivery? So to zoom out again, before I go through questions, because I see some people asking if they can repost questions, just wait. I'm going to go up. I always do. These right here are all considered good areas to look at a lower time frame. And what do you notice? If you trade a 1-minute time frame, are there a lot of opportunities on a clear market during a week? Yes. Look at this. These are all opportunities during the week for you to go lower and watch for your 1-minute base entries. All of these. Okay? Another good opportunity. Price begins to prove itself. Some of you may even ignore 7 and wait for 7 to go higher. So some of you may even say, I want this to move higher, and I will start watching it here. I would say that's a good rule, because that's even more so allowing something to prove itself a little bit on a context-based time frame. Okay? Look at this. What is this area, guys? If you start watching it, what is this area? That's another funded account. This is what trend looks like. This is what delivery of structure actually looks like. Okay? Was 8 a good time to look at price? Oh, Alex fucked up. But everyone else got it. Yes. The context time frame is in clear stage 1s and 2s. We don't know the future. You know the future now, but you need to be honest with yourself. This is a clear context time frame that's been delivering and is proving to deliver over and over and over again. Think back to my entries and my weeklies. What did they look like? This is what they look like. Okay? But guess what? As we go inside here, it doesn't mean we have to have an entry. People forget that. People think the context time frame needs to be perfect, and once it's perfect, it must deliver. No. The context time frame must be perfect because then it sets the precedent for the validation time frame and the entry time frame. Okay? So when I go to, let's say, a validation time frame and I look at it, and actually here it is surfing and moving higher, which is a perfect stage 1, and I want to follow this long because I now want to expect the stage 2, I can jump to a 1 minute and watch for that stage 2. So what I would watch for now, right, is very simply, if I'm watching this, I'd wait for a move higher and MB formation and take an MB long. Did I take losses because I got my context wrong? Where are all my losses that I should have taken when the market rolled over? Well, I have rules in place, and now, as the context time frame rolls over, I can wait for it to be clear. That's it. So, in the decision to trade this context, did I lose money? No. Was I wrong? Yes. Fantastic. Why didn't you take the one before? I don't know what that means. Sorry. I don't know what that means. But yeah. Okay. So that's 8. 9. Is 9 a good area to look at context? Yep. It's as easy as that. Great. So now you're understanding and starting to learn that in the scenario that you guys are trading a lower base time frame, this is what I mean by you do have a lot more opportunity, but you also will be sitting in front of the computer a lot more. What about the pop on 12 on the 24th? Why? What would I be? Why would I look at this? I don't know, man. I'm gonna skip that, okay? Because I don't know what we're asking there. I thought we always been looking for this, and there's no confusion on this. See, like that. So that's the thing, right? Like, so you want to look for those stage 2s. That's what we're doing here, right? You want to look for the deliveries. You want to look for proof that price wants to go. And now, for everyone watching, okay, let me delete that. So remember those areas we looked at. Does everyone understand? Because I had a few questions this week of people going, hey, Ment, I trade a 1 minute time frame, right? I trade a 1 minute time frame, but how do I trade UJ during this period? Because it's clearly overextended. What? This is the kind of market you want as a 1 minute base trader, because the context time frame is moving the way it should. Perfectly. When we now that we've gone over this, and again, if you're brand new, you don't have to fully understand this, but I want you to understand the general aspects of it. Do you understand why those moments are moments where, as a 1 minute trader through the EVC, these are beautiful. This is a beautiful tradable context. Does everyone understand that before we go forward? Okay, good. Good. Very good. So now, if I go to the weekly time frame, which is my EVC's time frame, is this a good area for me to start looking at lower time frame validations and entries based on my system if this is a weekly? Yes. It's in a perfect stage 2 off of beautiful stage 1s and 2s over and over and over again. It's not extended. It hasn't started a crazy move. This has the likelihood, even if one candle is like this, that could be money made for me. So my goal is now to watch my lower time frames for a given entry. That's it. Nothing more. And now again, if I go through my examples of trades that I've taken, here's Netflix. Look where I took the trade. Does that look any different from the hourly of the UJ that we just looked at for context? Looks the fucking same. There's no difference. It's the same thing. Price was doing this kind of thing and going higher. That's where I look for a trade. And guess what I did? On the daily, price started at stage 1. On my entry time frame, I took it through the MB and I took a break even. Done. Then I missed this trade right here. This is a beautiful MB. These ones right here, these were beautiful MBs. I missed those. That's okay. But those were other entries, all meeting the same criteria. Okay, let's look at another trade I took. Okay, actually, I did not take this trade. You can see I did not take this. I tracked it. Where do you see the entry was? Does it look any different to UJ on an hourly in terms of where it is for a context time frame? Lucas says he's in that Netflix trade. It was beautiful delivery. Mwah. Beautiful, brother. Beautiful. Gary says no, and Al says, AI says no. Why no? Oh, wait, did I ask the question wrong? Maybe I said something wrong. The question is, does this look different to the UJ hourly context of areas that we decided we would trade? This specific line right here, this one. And the answer is it doesn't, right? Exactly. It doesn't look any different because it's the same delivery. In this case, it's just the weekly. If I hid this time frame from you, just like I did in the portal, if you guys remember, I don't know how far I released the portal right now, but actually we won't do this just yet. Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna ruin it for you guys. I know, but I don't remember which part, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's the same thing. If I hid the time frame, you wouldn't know what this is. Okay, let's look at another trade I took. So Bitcoin, this is where I traded it. If you guys remember, this was my best trade of my year so far. Does it look any different to the valid hourly context that we decided we could trade based on the prior moves that we saw on UJ? In this case, on GBTC on the weekly. It doesn't look any different. It doesn't. Yellow, so these yellow ones usually means it's things that I was watching during a week. So it's stuff that I have my eyes on. Let's look at stuff that I have my eyes on. Where is this? Does it look any different to those contexts that we saw on UJ? No. Does it look any different than the context we saw on UJ? No. Does it look any different? 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 This one looks different. I actually did not trade. I'm not trading this one right now, but I'm waiting on it. Okay. This is a trade I took. Look where I took it. Right here. Does it look any different? These are all context timeframes for me. It's all the same thing. All the same thing over and over and over again. Here's Google. This is something that I'm still in today. Does this look any different? I'll put a line in. okay? Are we all starting to understand how we can use the context time frame to our benefit in a huge way and stay out of a lot of the shitty price that most people end up trading their entire trading lives? Many traders that start out trading never ever get anywhere because they never learn when to take a fucking step back. That's it. That's as simple as it gets. They don't take the time to learn when to take a step back and when to start looking, or they force themselves not to look, right, when it's time to look. Because, again, back to the example of UJ on the hourly, if you're someone that's very, very stubborn about your system, right, what you'll do is you'll look at a time like this, like we saw it earlier, this one, and you'll say, it's terrible, I shouldn't watch it because it rolled over after. But that's one of the worst ways you can approach it, because guess what happened on the same case here and here? It kept going. Same case here, kept going. The same case here and here, it kept going. The same case here and here and here and here, and not here, but all of these kept going. And on this one, if you are too egotistical in your approach, you see this and you go, I can't trade here because I don't like how it goes down, right? What about these 1 hour areas on UJ? John, so apply the exact same approach here, man. No, these are awful. I'd probably not. This would have to start a move maybe, and then maybe up here, or maybe inside of there to get above these areas. So at no point would I look here. Here, maybe if it got above here, so probably at these points I'd start watching. Maybe inside of this candle at the top of it when it was delivering, because again, as it's delivering, it can seem like a stage 2. But again, follow the same process that is walked through right now. I'm literally doing it in front of you right now. I'm walking through a few examples for that exact reason and showing you my own trading. Jamie says, hi Anton, beginner here. Is finding a trending market as easy as looking for all greens on the screener? That plus actual analysis. Like looking at the actual market. The screener is a phenomenal tool. And like I said, the main goal is that as you become profitable, the screener will make your entire life endlessly easier. All of you will be able to do what you do without the screener. That's the most important thing. So if you didn't want to use it, you don't have to. But the screener is going to make your life so much easier that you're just going to make money over fist by simply using it. That's the idea that I'm going for. Bamboo says, oh my, it is really live. Hi, mentor. I can't believe I'm looking at you. Okay, welcome, Bam Bam. I appreciate you being here, man. Yes, I actually interact with the team, okay? You'll see a lot of me around, okay? You will see a lot of me, okay? I'm going to scroll up here and see where we were because I have skipped a lot, of course. Wow, Tim really dropped a lot of hearts, didn't he? Listen, Tim, if you didn't mean that as any troll way, I appreciate you for dropping all the hearts, okay? But there's also a place and a time, all right? There's a place and a time, my good man. So going forward, no more of that craziness, all right? Yeah, so Valdez, I'm happy to see you, man. I'm sorry to hear what was going on. What time you call this, Anton? You're fired. Oh yeah, we went over all this. Can you show me examples of stage 1 and 2 with transition for 1 to 2? How to start it and start engaging in the expansion? Thank you for the reply. So I think so that's from Michael. Oh, so Mohammed started with the, can you show the line darker, right? So that segued into just an understanding of context, but that is why the line is not too necessary, right? Like you can see it in front of you here, right? The main reason I have it on there is just to know that I'm not in like some weird, wonky, huge range or something like that, right? That's kind of one reason. But really, like, it's just, the only time you end up really using it is maybe on the entry time frame for the structures, right? But the reality is across context and validation, you're already looking for a very set principle for what's going on, right? So Michael says, can you show me some examples of stage 1 and 2? So that's what we did just now, right? So when we just looked through the EVC, the main goal was to show you that these C's, the context, were in already a potential stage 2 delivery or starting a stage 2 delivery, which leads you to understand that the validation and entry timeframes are going to go through their own 1s and 2s. And now you want to line them up to look for the likelihood of an entry and then take your entry off the entry timeframe, right? That's how that works. Gold and silver finally setting up for longs on a higher time frame. We can take a look a little bit later. If we have some time, we'll see. Hi, Peace Pod. What up? Tim Lover, yeah. Onion says, I am doing a deep dive on psychology right now, and I'm finding that I'm sabotaging myself. A lot of people do that. They sabotage themselves in many ways, not just trading, but also, like we saw today, analysis, right? You can sabotage your own analysis by saying stuff like, I would never look at price here, because then it goes down. That is an awful way to think, because the reality is when these things tend to happen, the trends actually deliver. And if you can get used to understanding that, then you can make yourself a part of these trends instead of not be able to trade them, right? Because that's our main goal, is to learn how to trade and trade with the trend, trade with the big money, with the composite operator. He says, I took a trade on Friday, and for whatever reason, I moved my stop loss to break even and accounted for spread where this isn't my plan. Yeah, that's really dumb to do, because then you make your average price worse, which means that you're likely to get tapped out, right? So it tapped my BE and ran. I can, however, let my losses hit my SL with no problem. I've just adjusted my manager to stop this happening and make my trades more mechanical once it's entered. Good. Yeah, you shouldn't be, you can't play this game for breadcrumbs, right? A lot of traders, so this is the signal providers, bad mentors, people that are just kind of trying to con you, will teach you a version of this, right? Where you're playing for breadcrumbs. Oh, 300 pip stop loss, 20 pip take profit. We got it. Good job, team. We did it. Woo! But the reality is, those people are playing for breadcrumbs and breadcrumbs and breadcrumbs. And when you move your stop loss a little bit higher because you're like, I really don't want to take minus 0.2 RR, you're playing for breadcrumbs. And that's useless, right? You should be in the game to play for the movers, for the trends, for the deliveries. And that's what we learned to do, right? So play for those winners. Play for the edge. Stop playing for the tiny shit that doesn't matter, because it will affect your bottom line like it has, right? Meant, quick question. Will I get kicked out for reacting to chats? You might. You might, Tim. There was a lot of spam right there for sure. Stay hydrated says, I am in that stage right now. Everything just clicked, and now I'm becoming profitable in the last 3 weeks. Beautiful. It's like being lost in a city, wandering around, guessing every direction, and then you have a GPS view of everywhere. Yep. Hi, Anton. Can you talk more about how you recognize the start of a trending market? The screener says green. So then I look at the market. I start with my contextual time frame, in this case the weekly. I look at it. If the market's here, I'm not really interested in it, because it's still chopping around some area. As the market makes its way out of some kind of base or stage 1 and starts moving higher, at this point right here, just there, would be the start of a trending market for me. Now, I don't know if the next candle is going to keep going or the next few. This might be one of those moments on UJ, on the hourly, where the market rolls over and nothing happens. But this is where I'll start tracking it and watching it off of a lower time frame. Because now, theoretically, the validations should start to come in. So this was that big up move. And the validations do come in. The validations start going and start finding themselves on rising MAs and making stage 1s. And those stage 1s lead to new stage 2s that then fail down for a little bit, and stage 1 again to make new stage 2s. And those present opportunities for lower time frame based entries. And on lower time frame entries, we start building structure. We start validating MBs as a result of validating demand on a higher time frame. The validation of MBs leads to either entries through them or later validated MBs. And those are what my entries are. That's the blueprint of a trend, EVC. And they start getting watched right there. And I found them because the screener had already proven it. That's it. That is how I recognize the start of a trend. Also, what would you say to someone who forward test and don't want to back test? Go ahead. It might take you a lot more time, because in the same time that you gain, let's say I tested, forward test, because this is a forward test, all of these pairs here, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 30. So about 40 pairs here, 40 pairs. On 40 pairs, there's probably around 20 entries, right? As you can see, 20 entries that I was interested in or watching. So now I've gained access to, in the last 3 months, 2 months, about 20 trades that I can record and learn from. Okay, good for you. Now, in 2 months of normal backtesting, of looking at a few thousand examples, I probably get to around 2,000 trades that I can record and look at. So you can look at this, Jay, for yourself and tell me yourself what you think is going to help you become a trader faster. Now, if you think this is going to make you a trader faster, go ahead. But when you understand that this is giving you 100 times more information in the same amount of time, you will make the necessary switches if you're serious about doing this for a living. Okay? There's really not much more to it. So that's what I would say. Hey, Anton, I want to ask you why you switched the entry time from 5 minutes to 65 minutes. I spend less time on charts. I can spend more time looking at more things. I can spend more time doing other things. I can manage while sitting back and doing close to nothing. Once I'm positioned, I can sit back and let money accumulate. I don't have to worry about commissions or slippage in any way. I can get in and out of the market without having to sit in front of the market all day long watching the trade. I can just set alerts and walk away forever. All those reasons. Just so you remember, just so you understand, I work less now on the charts. I work a lot more than I used to. I work a lot less now on the charts than I ever used to before. When I traded a 1 second entry time frame, a 1 minute entry time frame, I spent about 6 to 8 hours a day on charts. Now, if there's good setups, I spend probably an hour to 2 hours max on charts a day. That's the difference. Sosa says, Ment, do you think that some people are not profitable because they are always trying to refine their system? I literally spoke about this in the last 10 webinars. I talk about actualizing your results. Go back and write down what I've spoken about in regards to actualizing the results, right? If you have a profitable system and it's proven to be profitable, you need to start actualizing those results. Otherwise, if you keep trying to improve it because someday you're going to have the best system ever, you're going to be stuck in a loop of improvement. So are you basically saying that stage 1 and stage 2 hold more weight than MB or double MB breakouts? Because if a double MB is choppy in stage 1, it doesn't matter anyway? Christian, I have said time and time again that the entry criteria or the pattern does not matter without a context. Because patterns and entries happen everywhere. It's one of the main reasons I don't teach you to think in patterns. It's why I teach you to think in delivery, right? Of context, of the market. Like, all that matters if it's not in a stage 1 with chop and it's impulsing and trending. Yes, I care about trending markets, right? I think I've over-refined my ICI entries. I rarely get any trades now, and I'm on a 5 minute. Most of the times when market delivers perfectly, I'm always sidelined because my exact entry criteria doesn't present itself. How can I / should I generalize my entries more? Yeah, you can. Sounds like you kind of answered your own question, right? If you think you've completely over-refined them, then unrefine them, right? Make them simpler. If you're profitable doing it, then stick to that and get the results from it. I don't know what you mean by you rarely get any trades and you're on a 5 minute, because that means nothing to me anymore, right? The reality of trading is that you're not going to get tons of entries on any given one pair. If you have something like UJ, for instance, and you have a 5 minute entry, which would put you at a 5 hour context, the only times you would be potentially watching for the 5 minute would start probably inside of, these areas here. Probably start in somewhere there, right? Probably in here. Those are the areas you'd watch. And not all of them would produce results. You start watching your validations and your entries. And you can go back and you can study what was made available through those moves. And from that, you will find the same things, right? There will be the same kind of MBs or lack thereof of MBs that then go and deliver or don't deliver, okay? Over and over again. Okay, so I don't know exactly how you want me to answer that. It just sounds like you just wanted to say it, right? Like, and again, if you're trading one pair, then of course you're gonna have a lot less entries. I don't care that you're on a 5-minute. I used to trade a 1 second chart and get 1 to 3 trades a week on a given pair, okay? A week. So like it's just, yeah, it's just, it sounds like just random, like here's an issue. What would you say to someone who asks why you don't code the way we trade? Because it's not codable. It's an understanding of the market. You can try to code a version of it, that's fine, but that's not what I do. It's really simple, Jay. No one has, like, who's gonna ask me why don't I code the way we trade? I don't even know who would ask me that. It'd probably be someone that's like unprofitable or doesn't understand that code doesn't just make a system profitable. That's not how it really works. Your eyes are your best tool, or the best indicator. The mind is the strongest weapon because you have the final say in whether you're going to put your risk on something or not. But you like to buy as price expands out of stage 1, you're amazed, right? All right, John. Where was this entry? Where was this potential entry? Where was this potential entry? Where was this potential entry? Where was the entry I took on this? Where was the entry I took on this? Ignore that. It's just downside. This one did not deliver. Where's the potential entry? Where was the potential entry? Okay. So, by way of examples, right, to answer that question now, no, right? Like, what do you mean? On an entry time frame? Sure. But we just looked at, I don't even know how many contextual examples where price was started expanding already. Yes, you can refine over time to get better into some of the areas. Like I would start watching here, but that's because it's expanding out of some kind of stage 1, right? Out of this stage 1, it's expanding out of it. So I would start watching there. Nice. Very clean. Entered through the MB validations. I love it. Yep. Very good, man. I'm gonna have to go and rewatch the Serious House later. I'll see you, Shellings. Thanks for being here, man. Peace. Anton's voice, because that's how the markets move. Yep. Catching the right trend makes the actual trade easy to take. Yep, exactly. Girlfriend just broke up with me yesterday. This webinar gonna distract me, hopefully. I'm sorry, bro. Oh, you got 35 messages. Well, I'm gonna let you read through that and deal with that because we're not going down the therapy session route, right? But listen, if you didn't do anything wrong, and it was just something that went down, then good, because you get to be with someone better in the future. If you did do something wrong, then don't make that mistake again. Learn from it. Become a better person. That's really all there is to it. But I'm really sorry to hear that, man. I hope you'll be all right. I know you'll be all right, but yeah. My rule is don't trade wicks, top and bottom. Clear way of knowing, at most clear stage 1. Sure. Teb says the portal is so nice. Completed it last night. Sup, man? Hope you good. I'm very good, bro. More in the portal coming out literally probably today or tomorrow. So keep an eye on there, okay? Let me at least get that 5 pip. Exactly. That's how a lot of people think. Can you please explain the cycles of stages 1 and stages 2? Sure. You usually have a stage 1 inside of some deep area on a contextual time frame. Then it starts to stage 2. Then you go to stage 1, and then as the stage 2 starts, it starts to become a valid context to trade. A validation time frame or lower time frame ends up going through stage 1, stage 2, stage 1, stage 2, stage 1, stage 2, stage 1, stage 2, stage 1, until it inevitably has too many stage 1s and 2s, so it goes into a deeper stage 1, at which point it starts new stage 1s and stage 2s and stage 1s and stage 2s and potential stage 1s and potential stage 2s. And by the time it makes a big enough move, it's probably going to go into a deeper stage 1 or fail down. All right. Those are your cycles. The stage 1 and 2 cycle is stage 1 and 2. Beautiful. If Lambo is poor manhood extension, can I repost the question? I think I went over it. Vlad says, I think one of the most enlightening wisdoms was this. People look at moves that happened and change their systems in a way to be able to capture them next time. Yep. What they don't realize is that this won't work over the long term consistently. Yep, exactly. That's one of the reasons it's so important to be able to look at something like this if you're trading a lower time frame, right? And say, yes, that was a great area to start looking for trades. Because again, starting to look for trades or watching for trades does not mean you're losing, or just because it rolls over does not mean you're wrong. It's very hard for people to be wrong in the markets, even though they lose no money, because it feels like the things you're doing is not correct, but it is, right? What you're doing is right. You're waiting for your moment, and your moment's not coming yet. Javian says, wow, I've been here for months and never grasped that concept, but easily see how that's going to transform my trade for runners. Exactly. Alex says, recently I started using 2 tabs in TradingView for CTX, context and entry timeframes in sync. It really helps to see at a glance a size of the movement. Yeah, you can do that too. I just take pictures, or I used to take pictures, but yeah, exactly. You can do that as well. Very well said. First webinar, just a bit confused. Don't worry, man. Everything will get easier. The point of these webinars, right, especially if you're new, is to show you what you're working towards. This is exactly what you're going to be able to see as you start looking at charts, as you start reading charts, as you start understanding what's going on. You start looking at my trades, you start really understanding, hey, this is what makes a move. And it's meant to be confusing at first, right? But over time, as you start learning and going through the portal and learning how supply-demand validation works, how MBs work, how structure works, how it all moves together, all of a sudden, you know, an explanation like this all makes sense to you. You start understanding why this is a powerful move, why you would want to be behind this. Everything makes sense. Experience, seeing what it has done before and expecting it. The thought it isn't a must that it delivers, but higher probability. Oh, though it isn't a must. Yeah. I thought we always been looking for this. I always wonder that. Would you call this good contacts? It's context, not contact. I don't know. If this is a context time frame, maybe. Looks like it's in a longer term range for a while. It is near the top, so that's good. I don't know what the screener would look like at the time of this thing. I don't know what market this is, but yeah, maybe. This could be good context, sure. It's above all the MAs, it's moving higher. It's coming out of a stage 1 base, sure. Welcome, Lucas. Don't worry, man. Confusion is a beautiful thing because it's a guarantee that there's something that needs to be learned. And that's a really good thing because that means that over the time that you start to move through things and get better, you will learn. Yeah. I do like to hear that. Thank you. I'm in that Netflix trade at the moment. It was a beautiful delivery. Yep, I missed it. All right. Beautiful context, delivering great. Daily going through that same stage 1 and 2, stage 1 and 2, stage 1 and 2. This was the stage 1 that I tried to enter in. I expected the stage 2, but then it went into a deeper stage 1 and the entry was actually here, but I missed it, right? And look at that, despite missing the entry and getting it wrong, I took a break even, right? And if I got it right, take a look. If I did the same break even rule, what happens? Now I'm in the trade and I'd be at break even again, right? But it wouldn't have broken me even yet. So now again, if this goes, then great. You get a winner. You know what? I'm actually going to leave this in and probably go back and study it. You know, like I'll just track it a little bit because like I do this. This is what forward testing looks like. So like I don't have to do as much back testing now because again, I've done a lot of the testing for myself, but I can also continue to forward test stuff, which is why you still see a lot of stuff on my list. A lot of the blue is stuff that I should forward test, like Reddit. This is something I'm forward testing. I saw this move, I just didn't take it. I didn't execute on it. I just didn't like that, you know, I didn't like something about it. I don't know what it was, but I didn't like it. And then it did this, delivered over 12 RR. So oops, you know, oops, missed that one, but that's part of the game and I can track it. NVIDIA. I deleted a lot of stuff here because I was using it for an example in the members portal. But this was a move I took, if you guys remember. I took this move right here. This MB. That was a beautiful delivery. Netflix, yeah, I'm tracking that now. FICO, this thing, I did not take this as well, but I'm tracking it. Right, it met all the rules. It started delivering. I think I didn't take it because it was too short term of a higher low. I was expecting it to come lower. You can see I was expecting it to come lower, and that's okay because I miss trades too. This is something I did take though. Right, this was beautiful, and actually Bitcoin has been so beautiful because this is something I wanted to talk about actually. Like I told you guys last week, this thing was beautiful for just follow through on the downside. I said this would probably reach like back into the 50Ks. And I think it's still gonna do that. There's no pausing on this thing. This thing is not proven to be bullish at all yet, right? And like at the same time that that happened, I think you all saw it happen too. Look at this beauty, all right? Like this thing rolled over. The screener literally is telling you, hey, don't trade me now. Because I know a lot of people know that I've been following Bitcoin for a while. This thing rolled over recently. Right, there's no reason to follow this. And it's very easy to get into the trap of like really trying to bottom pick now because, hey, you saw it so bullish, but this now no longer matters. You need to let this price figure out what it wants to do because this market is done. This is like a non-existent market now. It's not even important to me right now. It needs to do so much to set up because look at it on the weekly. Is this the kind of context you saw me trading on the UJ hourly or on my other weeklies? Yes or no? The answer is fuck no. Right? For this to be tradable, we would literally have to do what? We'd have to have a week that goes up like here, which is never going to happen, or probably a few weeks that go like this, pause around, reach, and then around here I might watch it. And if you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 or 8 weeks. So this thing is not going to be on my radar for probably now 2.5 to 3 months if it turns around. If it does a version of this now, and then does this, this thing might not be on my radar until next year. And this is what people forget. This is what people forget about context and prices. Because they saw this and they really want to see that again, they're going to be locked in potentially now for the next 1.5 years if this thing doesn't want to go. This is how money gets locked up. This is how people consistently get basically weak-handed out. Because by the time they now sit through all this, they go, fuck it. There's no reason to hold this. But the market's telling you how it wants to move. This thing does not want to go higher. When did I start watching Bitcoin for another long? Here. As it started to move higher, I looked for longs here. I don't know if you guys remember, I took a long here. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I actually, so on the daily validation time frame, I actually took a long inside of, I think it was either in here or out of this area here. I don't remember which one, but out of one of these, okay? And yeah, I think it was over here. And I just got to break even on this. I think my trade looked something along the lines of, it was something along the lines of this, okay? Very simply, like it started moving, I moved to break even, and then it took me out of break even, and that was it. That was my entire move. And then it failed, right? It was something along these lines. Actually, I can do this for you guys. Hold on. 325. March 25th. What is March 25th? Oh, it was way back here. Okay, let's just find it. GBTC. I forget where I traded this thing. That's not it. Oh no, it pasted the same photo. Shit. Okay, here's another one. 517. 517, 517. Okay, so I actually took a win. Oh yeah, okay, there we go. I knew it. Yeah, so I traded it here, right? Around these areas right here, out of this guy or this guy. I forgot which one it was because I traded it off the crypto, off the equity. This was a win for me. If you guys look at this, okay? This was a, where is it? There it is. This was a 2RR win for me. Despite me being fully wrong about it after, right? Like, look how wrong I was. This is where I entered. This is what happened. And now notice how nothing else was taken, right? This is the beauty of actual context. And again, even if I did take this one, you can see break even ends up. Let's see the GBTC. Yeah, so I traded it right here. This is that trade you see, right there, out of this breakout. And then again, if I did trade it further, it would probably be around here, and this would also be what? When you guys look at this, what do you see? If I traded this thing, what do you think this ends up for me as a trade? This is an easy break even. Price starts its move. It proves itself. Like, if you don't break even here, which I would have probably, you're likely broken even by here. And again, the move doesn't validate and just fails down. And since then, look at this. You can actually see my drawing. Here, I'm going to show you guys this. You can see my drawing. You can see my expectation at the time of it delivering. It started delivering bearish structure. So all I expected was for it to just sail lower and lower and lower. And guess what? This thing is not stopping anytime soon. This thing is just on a mission to go lower at the moment. So nothing for me to do other than wait, right? Because I'm not here to trade the stuff that is unlikely to deliver. Now, I did promise that I wanted to go over some of the stuff that I took this week. So I'll go over one of the trades I took this week. Because before doing that, what I wanted to do was I wanted to go over some of the examples of a few other timeframes like UJ. Because a lot of people think that since I'm not always trading a lot of the cryptos, right? I mean, sorry, because I'm not trading a lot of the FX pairs, that I'm not like an FX trader anymore or whatever it might be. The reality is FX on a higher base time frame has not been an entry criteria for me to take, right? There's about 200 FX pairs. And I'm not trading a 1 minute time frame. But if you're a 1 minute base trader and UJ's been moving the way it's been moving, there is zero reason that over the last 2 weeks, you haven't been milking that market, right? Unless you're learning. If you're learning, then that's fine if you haven't milked it. But there's no reason that someone that's an active 1 minute base trader isn't milking the living shit out of something like UJ, because that market is delivering and delivering and delivering over and over and over again. Oh, I went over all this. That's good. User says, embrace the studying. Trust me, it's the best mentorship in the world. People, study materials, and other stuff. Real, that's something I've managed to figure out as well. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And yeah, you're right. You will learn a shit ton over your time here, man. I'm a little late. Is it recorded? They're all recorded, my good man. So bam, bam, you're going to be able to catch it after this. No problem. Hide the time frame and see how the markets move on all time frames. Yep, exactly. All the same thing. Peace Pod sends some stage 1, stage 2. I'm not even going to click it, but yeah, that's stage 1, stage 2. Looks from the picture I can see. Lucas says, I was still having those exact issues just a couple of weeks ago. Was letting trades go due to thinking my context was overextended. Yeah, you cannot do that. After listening to what Anton has been saying in the last few weeks, I ended up taking a UJ trade that I would have previously thought was overextended. I made 9R from it. That's how it goes. And you know why that works so well? Because everyone that hasn't even stumbled upon some of the stuff that we teach in this course, that has the natural inclination of a normal human being and the normal psychology of money operating in the markets and looking at these markets, how do you think the average person feels about a market like UJ or about a market like Google and in terms of the way it's delivering and stuff? It's just, it's disbelief. And it leads to averaging down, looking for the other side, looking for the other side, looking for the other side, short it, including big hedge funds, including big institutions. And guess what? That's what gets blown through. That's how trends start, and that's how trends maintain, and they maintain forever and can maintain for years. Thank you, man, for the answer. I got you, man. Is your trading view zoom setting 100% or 90%? Because it looks very clean on your chart. You can check it on the little 3 points on the left side over the publish button. What? No idea, man. It's just whatever I make it. That's what it is. In all honesty, it's whatever I make it. L8 says same. Everything clicked in the last 3 weeks, and now I'm consistently profitable. 8 years in the making. Bro, that is beautiful. So like this is what's really cool, right? So like you say 8 years, and I know I haven't even been around for 8 years. So I know that the proficiency, skill set, and improvement likely came yes, a lot of the stuff in the past has shaped who you are now, but I'm assuming a lot of the consistency came from you having a roadmap to actually understanding how markets operate. And with that came very quick, I would say, in regards to your overall journey, proficiency, right? There's a video in the Discord, I think, in recent live tradings or the system, which covers how the price goes from bullish to bearish to bullish. Yeah. I have that in the, like, I think in hashtag context or hashtag ICI extras. I don't know, can you guys hear the baby screaming? It's going a little crazy out there. Jeez. When do I have to stay out of the market? What are your rules that decide to stay out and not trade at this market? Well, Michael. Okay, when do I have to stay out of the market? When it's not clear. What are your rules that decide to stay out of the market? Some of the rules that I use to stay out of a market or in a market is by looking at the screener initially, deciding if it has a very one-sided bias or not, and then lining that up with my EVC on average. I usually want my C to be in a stage 2 or coming out into a stage 2 very clearly. I want my V to be in some kind of clear short-term stage 1, usually on some rising MAs, and I want my entry to be building clear structural ranges that I can use to enter through MB validations. Okay? That's how I technically stay out of the market, because I don't force things. There's a specific set of principles that need to occur for me to take a trade. How about the swap fees? Are they negligible? I don't even have swap fees. Yep. So that was your 1 minute entry. Exactly. You know, it's hard to see here, but exactly. Your hourly's in distribution. Then your hourly was in a clear stage 2, moving out of a base kind of early in the move, right? And moving lower, right? Coming out of this little short-term stage 1, starting this stage 2, and you took that 1 minute entry in here that already has been delivering very beautifully. Exactly. And if this fails in one candle, you're already going to make money or be at break even. And that is a very, very beautiful thing. So yeah, exactly. Is that your comfortable? Yeah, bro, it is. But I'll look into the one you told me about. We'll see. Higher time from context is literally everything. Yep, exactly. Would you take this trade based on this 1 minute based on the 1 hour context for my preference? The last candle that I will search for a trade is one behind the entry candle. Would you take this trade on 1 minute? So I don't see the trade on the 1 minute, but yeah, the context time frame looks fine here. I mean, the context time frame started its move from outside of right here, from right here. This is where the move really started, off of this candle. This is where you should have been watching. There's no reason that you shouldn't be positioned in this here. Yes, this is still fine to start to keep an eye on a validation time frame. I'm assuming the validation time frame will go through a tiny bit of pause and then keep going. But your entry should have been throughout this little area right here. But yeah, this is fine. There's no reason this can't continue the contextual move and set up the 6 minute, 10 minute nice setups into 1 minute continuations. Forward test without backtesting. Basically send me to war without training for it. Update from Dante. I was at first entering on 1 minute or 5 minute. However, since I have limited time to be on, most of the good entries were almost always whenever I'm unable to be on. Then I had an idea to move to the 1 hour, and it's perfect into what I'm trying to achieve. Exactly. Exactly. It's so easy to be stuck in the improvement loop. It's why I chose to fix our system. Yep. Thank you for commenting on the 1 hour areas I circled. I thought they were a good time to step down, but it sounds like you're looking for price to begin expanding into potential stage 2 before stepping down further. Yep. Because it's easier. Like, yeah, maybe it's more opportunities to potentially predict, but it's just easier to let the move deliver, right? Everything context-wise for me is always like very proved, almost fully proved. So let's look at some of the examples of my 2 best trades right now, right? So, or my 2 trades, one that's still moving and the other one that is just sitting around break even. So this is Google, okay? I'm in this thing. Let's walk through the actual kind of thing that led to the entry. Okay, so this is what led to the entry. Before we even start, actually, I'm going to ask you guys, where do you think I found Google? Where did this random pair, this random stock that I truly found out came from? You know, where did it come from? Oh, I was going to type in screener. So here's Google. Okay. At the time, actually, somebody asked me to take a look at it, and I actually really liked it. But overall, for me, higher time frame wise at least, it was quite bullish. That's all I really care about right now. When I move to it, and I start on my weekly, which is my contextual time frame. So again, what is this the same as based on the stuff that we focused on in this webinar? What is this time frame the same as? The 1 hour of what? UJ. Right? Well, it's the same as everything else, yeah, but it's in this case, for this scenario that I'm trying to explain, it's the same as a 1 hour on UJ. All is the same, right? But from my time frames. So what I instantly see when I look at this is a very bullish market. A large reaccumulation, that's important to me. This is still part of the story. A large reaccumulation, which I can see with the mental effect structure indicator or whatever, that started a very, very clear move. So I know that the buildup of this whole thing is probably some structural move on a much higher time frame, and likely means that we're going to keep getting a crazy move out of this. So that makes it a potential thing to watch. Okay. Simultaneously, we had some of the chop here, which is okay because I didn't trade any of it. Then you had this very clear stage 1 that popped through all this into a stage 2. So from here, it was actually valid to start potentially watching it based on if you saw some strength between this and NASDAQ or whatever. But this is where the better trades probably were. I missed those, okay? I don't really care. And again, if you're someone that got positioned in any area within this area here, right, this trade's already made you 20% on your money, right? So that's something else you have to remember. Like, you've made 20% on this, on your money, which is a crazy amount if you really understand what that means, right? Now, as we look at this, the weekly's coming out of basically this large stage 1 here of a higher time frame, and most importantly, out of this bigger stage 1 right here. So that was the longer term stage 1, and from there has went through a stage 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And my expectancy out of this is that, hey, we are still delivering bullish. We are still in a stage 2. We are still going through clear stage 1s and 2s. We are not giving up too much of the move. We're not just randomly coming down with a big, big candle like some other stuff did, like gold did at one point, right? So if you guys remember gold, how did it come down? Did it come down willy-nilly, let me make a new move, when we weren't watching it, or did it just fucking slam? It slammed. And then it slammed for a few weeks, and we ignored it. And then it became clean again, so we watched it. But to me, this is extremely clear. The likelihood is that, hey, we can get another candle and more candles to the top side out of this, because it's in clear stage 1s and 2s, right? And most importantly, like, it's basically coming out of this major base here. So it has probably the proficiency to follow through to a move, maybe even the 226. So I know this has the likelihood to make a big, big move. And now it's in those stage 1s and 2s here over and over again. So the expectancy is to keep that going. So I stepped into my validation. Now, I will be honest with you. This stepped onto my list. The day it stepped onto my list was actually right here. This was the day it came onto my list. Does anybody remember why? I went over this, but I'm wondering if anybody remembers why. Webinar question. John says demand. Yeah, kinda. But the main reason was because, 1, we're already bullish. 2, most importantly, the QQQ, otherwise known as the NAS 100, NAS 100, US 100, NQ, whatever you want to call it, on this day had a very big down day. It was actually going through bearishness. And this just held up. It didn't want to go anywhere. This was just going, going, going. So not only has this thing proven to be bullish and proven to be strong and proven to move higher with the overall market, but when the market started to collapse a little bit and started to move lower, this thing just wanted to get bought up. So to me, that's important, okay? That's a sign that something could be going on there. That's a sign to me that, hey, if the pulse is lifted off, this thing might soar. That's all that happened. So, okay, I kept an eye on it. And on this, at this point here, because already the weekly's in motion, the daily's now the thing I'm worried about. The daily's in that longer term stage 1, right? And again, it's in that stage 1 with the potential of a stage 2 starting out of this. So that's exactly what I wanted to focus on, which means, again, my main focus was the delivery of a lower time frame and the MBs of it to hopefully get position long. So, very simply, we started getting structural legs that started moving higher. This is your basic high to low to higher high, and this is actually going to be covered in the portal as well, and why this works so well. So we will go over that. But very simply, the move is existing now, and it's an overall accumulation. which is great because everything is green across the board and everything's lining up the way it should be. And at this point, that same day, this is that day that showed strength, what happened? Price undercut the 10 and 20 EMA, which is what I now normally look for, and validated an MB to the top side. Now, this is already a potential entry for some people, and this is going to be taught as an entry criteria. I don't personally enter it yet. I'm not experienced enough to do it just like that yet, but I'm working on it. But this is an MB entry. Nonetheless, that's MB1. And then a second MB began the form, and even an MB within it. So I actually had both of these highlighted because I was willing to take a long right here. This is where I actually had my long set up. Now what happened is the next day, gapped up and opened here, and then I simply set up my buy stop over this high. That's all I did. Because in this case, this one just didn't want to get tapped in because it gapped over it. That's it. This was going to be my entry, just so you guys understand. And then this became my entry. That's it, okay? And again, my stop was just around that ATR level, that ATR number, and under the overall low that was formed by that move down, okay? And I believe at this point, I moved myself to break even. That's it. My entire risk was off of this on the second candle. And from there, price played around. And to be honest with you, if you notice, I began to watch for another entry. I wanted to take another entry. I was watching for this to be an MB, the buildup of an MB, right? Overall MB, so maybe like a buy stop of this MB would make a lot of sense. I was considering an entry like this. If any of you did this, you are not wrong. This was a phenomenal entry. I missed it. I did not take it. Beautiful entry, beautiful. I would have broken even on that candle, just so you guys know, if I took this. I did not take this, but this is a beautiful thing to track, okay? Absolutely beautiful. Like, you cannot make this up, right? Just cannot make this up. And there was another entry through here, another MB entry here. Okay? And price just goes, goes, goes. Now, along the way, of course, let me go back to the daily now. I partialed. So into this initial big strength, I had my first partial, I believe, below this low. My first partial was here. Then, price began to play around, and I had my stop loss moved to here. And then on Friday, actually, it went wild. Just took right off. So what I did is before the close, I closed another half of my position right here because this was just insane strength. So I closed another half, and now I have the rest of it simply at this stop loss. And now, if the trend is right, and if it wants to keep going, which it can, because again, look at where we are. If it wants to do that, I'm going to be in the move. That's it. If it wants to do that, I'm going to be in the move. And if it doesn't, I made my money. Right? So either way, I'm a winner on this regardless. So here's that trade. Currently, at its current management, fully, it's not 5R so far. It's 5R with these, but the stop loss, remember, is already a guaranteed RR as well if it gets hit. So the guarantee right now is 7 RR, no matter what. No matter, unless it gaps down here, right? Then I'll update it. But this is 7 RR no matter what, and potentially even more. And again, from the last few weeks, what have you guys seen on my curve? What has it generally done the last few weeks? What has it been doing? It's actually been going in a certain direction the whole time. Been going sideways. And now, all of a sudden, let's zoom this out. All of a sudden, we're at new highs. Right? And it feels like it came out of nowhere. And now I'm at around 97 or basically 100% since February of return on my capital at 0.5% risk. Now, again, we can get crazy about this and we can make it bigger, 1% risk and you've returned probably like 200%, I'm assuming. Yeah. At 1% risk, this is a 275% return on your capital because of compounding. Now, again, I did not risk 1%. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you guys. but I want to show you what's available even at a 1% risk, given the system that I've been following for the last few months, okay? And granted, it's been very, very good context, very good. Context is not usually this good. This context, okay, guys, is exceptional. This is not usually the case. You don't get markets like this often. You don't get markets like this often. Well, maybe you do. Well, but they happen every once in a while, right? Like, there's periods of a year, half a year, 1.5 years between these periods. So like if this goes into a natural correction, that could last, a year and a half. And there may not be good trades at this level. Of course not. But what's cool is if we learn the skill set in a year or in a few months or when this continues, you will have all the skills you need, again, to transform your entire equity curve by a multiple of 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x. That's how it happens. Does everyone understand that? Does everyone really understand what I mean by that when I talk about how important context is to your trading? Like, my equity curve didn't just do this out of nowhere. It did it because, specifically, the context is lining up for good moves. And as a result, I'm trading it. Okay? At 5%. Oof, that would be, yeah, that would go crazy. At 0.5% risk per trade. Okay? So what that means is on a $100,000 account, you've got to 200,000 at 0.5% risk. On a $1 million account, you put yourself to 2 mil, right? On a $5 million account, you've worked yourself up to 10 mil. That's how the market functions. That's how compounding works. So I want your focus to truly sink in on that understanding, right? But yes, that's where this move came from. And now it can do whatever it wants. I have my stop loss ready. It's right here, right? My stop loss is right here behind this big candle. If all of this strength is lost, then I don't want to be in this when it takes it out. And if it's not, then I'll be in this for the bigger move. That's it. There's nothing more for me to do. It might even be smart to use the context time frame and do this. I might think about that, but usually after I do a management rule, I try to stick to it. So I'll probably stick to the daily here and just call it a day. It's okay. I think it's fine. It'll be fine. I'll leave it like so. It's okay. But yeah, that's where that came from. And now the other trade, one that didn't do anything really. Okay. But you're going to see the same thing. Let me go ahead and show you where we started. So here's AMAT, fully green, right? Very, very easy. So I opened it up. Look at my weekly. Where is it? It's doing the same thing. Price starts coming out of kind of a larger base. Multiple stage 1s and 2s at the top side. These are all those same UJ hourly opportunities. All of them are the same thing. Does everyone see why all of these are the exact same thing as that UJ hourly when I do this? When I draw the lines in? Is anyone still confused that this is still the same thing as that UJ hourly, even though, when we look at it, it's like, oh, it's a weekly, it's crazy, but the reality is it's all the same thing. So then I move into the daily. And the daily, once again, right, is within that deeper stage 1 into new accumulation stage 1s and 2s, 1s and 2s, and now currently we have this 1, and I expected, once again, the 2 to begin. So from there, I'm interested in the overall structural delivery, which you can see I kind of have drawn out here. Overall structural delivery, higher highs, higher lows. The higher highs, higher lows start as well inside of here. They start delivering, and then simply I buy stop the MB validation. That's it. And on this day, it gaps down and starts up, and I simply enter with my stop under that low. And right here, on this candle right here, I move the trade to break even. That's it. And now, all I can do is let this thing deliver. Because look at the weekly, right? It's in that context. And again, if the market wants to do this, I'll make money. If it wants to do that, make a big wick and then come down, I'll make money. If it wants to come down, if it wants to come down, I'll lose no money. Very important, I'll lose no money. Or if it does this, I'll make a fuck ton of money. So this is kind of the concept that I call positioning yourself for everything. it does not matter what this wants to do now. Because I just stand to gain and stand to lose nothing. Right? Over and over and over again. And what I do is I try to pinpoint moments where that can be true on repeat. Right? And as long as that's true, then I'm going to be fine. And then here's another trade that I took this week. It was actually a bearish trade. And funny enough, it's because somebody sent me a bullish trade on this. I said, no. Maybe I can find it. So somebody sent... Yeah. I even think I made a quick video about this, but he sent this on this day and he said, hey, Anton, the 4 hour is starting to show some strength. It could be really good. Can you look at it? And I was like, huh. Let me take a look. And the first thing I did is I saw this. So instantly my brain went to, this thing needs to be doing a lot of stuff on the actual chart for it to be considered bullish, right? A lot of stuff needs to be happening for this thing to be considered bullish. And when I went to it, the first thing I saw on my context time frame is what? The opposite of what we saw today in the UJ, and in the other trades that I've taken, right? If anything, I saw this as potentially starting a stage 2 to the downside, right? Because when I looked at it, his price was around here, and then as I stepped down lower to a daily, price was actually delivering lower. It was actually in stage 1s and 2s lower and lower and lower. So I entered the structural move and took it lower through this MB right here. I sold through this MB right here. I sold, I moved to break even on this candle, and again, I created the exact same criteria for me. If I'm right a little bit, and then I'm wrong, I make some money maybe. If I'm right big time, I make a lot of money. If I'm wrong, I lose nothing. And the market traded back up, went back to being a little bit choppy, and there's nothing for me to do here. That's it. And that was a short. You know, I took a short because everything was showing short. It was showing overall weakness, big weakness. So I took a short on it. And in this case, it just didn't follow through. Right? I would have also been happy to take a loss on this, even though right now it's not proving to be a loss just yet. This still might roll over and just keep going down, right? We don't know. But again, I'm more interested in being in the move that's fully correct from the get-go. I don't really want to sit around and wait for a move to prove itself, right? But those are the moves that I took. And then similarly, as we kind of look through it, you know, there were plenty of moves available on the lower timeframes, based on a lower time frame approach, throughout these weeks here, right? Until recently. So like if now you asked me, Anton, should I be following a 1 minute right now? What should the answer be? Within seconds? Right? No. You shouldn't be doing nothing on this thing, right? Because one, it's not in any stage 2s. It's not come out of a base. It's not above the MAs, right? Now you can take that idea of images and compare. This was a good context. This was a good context. This was a good context, whatever. What's similar? Nothing. So you simply get to walk away because you start to learn how to walk away from a bad market, right? And that creates edge. That creates confidence, and that creates real patience in you as a trader. And that actually gives you the ability to start seeing proper trends. Okay, beautiful. That's how trends work. So guys, listen, I'm gonna actually wrap this up a little bit, like kind of early. No, 2 hours, not that early. But I'm gonna wrap this up because, again, my main focus right now is to lay out this trend template for you, right? I want to lay this out for you in such a way that, hey, all of you that start working through this portal and start getting good at this will completely fucking change your entire minds about how you approach the markets, right? That is the main goal here. And, you know, I got to cover most of the stuff I wanted to cover. And I'm not going to waste your time because now you can get to all the important workings. All right, guys? So thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you all for being here. Goodbye.